God told me to warn the leaders of the countries who will be occupying the territories of America when the invasion takes place. God told me to warn the leaders of Russia, North Korea, Iran, China, Brazil, and Cuba not to take ownership of the territory of the USA when the war with the US elites is over. From what he told me, there was an agreement between these nations that each nation to take ownership of their respective territory that they are assigned to take military control during the invasion of the US. God told me that Russia was going to take over the northern half of the United States. North Korea was going to take Hawaii. Iran was going to take the state of Maine. Brazil and Cuba were going to take the southern half of the US. And China, even though that nation is not going to be involved in military fight in this war, they were going to take Alaska and the entire country of Canada because they invested heavily in business and residential housing. God told me that this is a serious crime because it is invading a country and stealing their resources and critical asset. God told me there are a bunch of clone human factories in underground cities that are spread throughout the US mainland, Canada, and Alaska. He says there are more of these in Alaska. God is giving serious warning to all leaders of nations not to take anything from those underground cities. Leave everything behind. He says just drop bombs via airstrike to destroy the entire underground cities. God also seriously warned not to take ownership of the territories of these lands and just pack and leave when they are all done with the denuclearization. He says that if you take ownership of their land, you will be tempted and bound to take possession of the clone replicating asset in the underground cities. Because your soul is weak, you will be tempted and not be able to control yourselves to resist it. Once you start tinker with these equipment, you will end up producing these clone girls for sex. Once you do that, the next thing you will be led to desire to do is to kill the flesh and eat it. Not only you're gonna spread that seed of soulless babies, but you just got yourself a mark of the beast, and God will take away your spirit. The demon creatures will come after you to clean you out, and you will be sent to hell. There is no chance of repentance to God, and the babies that are born will have no soul, and when they grow, they will become sexually demonic. That evil seed will cause them to commit murder and eat the flesh. This will widespread and will become uncontrollable, and the nation will get destroyed by other nation via nuke. This will be the judgment from God. It is very important that you leave everything behind and leave. God will then shake the ground and destroy those underground cities. God told me that both Russia, North Korea, and Iran will take heed of the warning and leave the area. But God has been extremely grieved that China, Brazil, and Cuba will not listen and take possession of their territories and the clone replicating equipment and consume it. It will be a catastrophic disaster because the demon creatures will come and eat them to clean them out. God told me that more of their leaders will be sent to those locations to take possession of these assets. Everyone will be fighting to take on this asset. The demon creatures will come wipe them out if they eat the flesh. The demon creatures will come and eat you if you eat the cloned meat or human meat. This process will keep repeating over and over until all of them are cleaned out. God says this is serious warning to us all, and the judgment will come swiftly to those who disobey. I am deeply worried for all the leaders from China, Brazil, and Cuba. God told me that a lot of people will die during this period of the Great Revival. I have a breaking news. God just told me several hours ago that Russian Air Force flew 2 Sukhoi 34 fighter bombers over the western side of the US mainland coastal area and dropped bombs and destroyed 2 underground cities. Those cities got annihilated. God told me that those underground cities they just destroyed were critical targets where they had the nuclear fire control system, and 4 US ruling elites were killed. He said there were 2 elites per city. God told me that the US coastal defense could not detect the incoming Russian fighter jets. There was a Tu-22M3 strategic bomber pinpointed the US radar surveillance tracking complex and fired an electronic warfare jamming system and fried their electronics, which is why they could not detect. God says this is first time Russian Air Force flew over the land of America. I was shocked when I heard this. Alright, God bless you.